Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Design Donderdag. Hey, Lonneke, Elena, welcome also. And Api is also here.
I'm
You saw him
happy.
also in the countdown. It's a long time ago that you was in the live also.
I think
here.
so. I think so.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone. Every last Thursday of the month, we are presenting Design Thursday on design, of course, but very broad. Eh? So today it's about, it's a nice word, I think, empathic design. I like that. I like that word. Eh? And Elena knows everything about that and what it means and what you can do with it. So shortly she will give a nice introduction on that. And yeah, if you are watching, let us know via the comments. That's always nice to hear from you. Or if you want to support us, don't forget to do this thumbs up on LinkedIn or YouTube, or subscribe. And if you want to know more about design also, have a look at our e-learning platform called Power Up, where over 7,000 professionals are learning more about Power BI and Fabric and AI and more. So check it out. If you want to try a free demo, it's on our website. But today, empathic design, and so start, Lonneke, with Elena to introduce herself.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Sounds
Okay,
like a good idea. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
Elena quite well, but Elena, and I think a lot of people know Elena actually. But
I think so too. Yeah.
just
So for the
introduce
people that don't
yourself
know
for the
you,
ones who
Elena,
don't. Yeah.
yeah, what do you do?
Yeah, so hi Lonneke, hi Jeroen. Thank you so much first for the invitation. I'm so happy we kind of made it finally. And yeah, design, in German I would say Donnerstag, but in
Yeah,
that's fine.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and yeah, I don't know, where do I start? So my name is...
What do you do on a daily basis? Because I know you're traveling a lot. Eh? You were just back in time, I believe, from an event you went to. But what do you next to events? What is it what you do as a BI and UX consultant?
Yeah, so hi everyone watching. My name is Elena Drakulevska. Yeah, for those of you who don't know me, I come from Macedonia, but I've been living in Vienna, Austria for the past 4 years. And I've been working as a BI and UX consultant. That means that I love Power BI and I love UX design as well. So I'm trying to bring UX design principles into my work. And yes, I've been also very active as a speaker lately. I've been speaking since about 2 years ago. And yeah, we just did our first, or my first pre-con, but we did a pre-con together with Lonneke.
Yeah,
nice.
3 days ago. Yeah, so
nice.
We were at SQL conference. It went amazing. I loved it.
Yeah, awesome conference, absolutely. And we did our pre-con together with Valerie, with the three of us, and I was just so happy how our stories all just like clicked together. It worked so nicely. So
yeah.
Now, congratulations on that, and happy to have you here, and talking about, like I already introduced, empathic design. And you also brought some slides with you to explain a little bit more about it. Shall I just add your screen and that you can walk us through, and we can have... we have to wait? Oh, okay, no problem.
Yeah, so
you can introduce it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I got held up a bit in Germany. Pro tip, don't ever take a train in Germany. I got a bit late home, so one day later than planned. So yeah, I thought maybe we can concentrate a bit more, I would start by speaking and then we can here and there share my screen. So
perfect.
My idea is to have a bit more conversation around accessibility and empathic design. So like, I would even say like inclusive design, right? So as I started learning about UX design and working in this field, accessibility is a huge part of it. And I wasn't even aware of accessibility and being inclusive and what does it mean, So
yeah. And Elena, can you like in 2 or 3 sentences summarize what is accessibility? What do we mean with accessibility in the context of Power BI dashboards?
Yes, so accessibility, or the practice of accessibility, basically means designing and making reports usable by everyone, so by every single user, regarding of their abilities or disabilities. And you know, sometimes people think, oh, maybe it's just one person. Well, if you take a step back, right? So when we think about disability, we usually think about, I don't know, something that's very obvious, right? So people in wheelchairs and so on. So that would be the first thing that comes to my mind, right? And but there's so many things that we actually don't think about now. This might actually be a good moment to share my screen.
All right.
Because yeah, so actually a lot of people live with some form of disability, and this number is as high as 1 in 6 people. But this is like a serious form of disability, right? So I would believe that this number is even higher when it comes to some minor forms. So, but also, like, as we design every product to make them user-friendly for everyone, you know, reports, we also think of reports as being products and being used by wide audiences, right? But a lot of users have users with different abilities. So that means that when we design products, we need to think about our users. We need to think about how they might feel, what challenges they might encounter while they're using our products or our reports, right? So this is where empathy comes into play. It's, you know, it's important to put ourselves in our user's shoes and to try to understand what's the context in which they're using the reports, or what is their background. Maybe they're not super tech savvy, right? They don't know how to use Power BI. And we are the people who actually work with Power BI every day. So we kind of need to make sure that even someone who's not using Power BI on a daily basis, you know, full time, would still understand our report. So really, you know, accessibility or inclusive design is about making sure that everyone can understand our reports. And in the end, like, we've put so much effort into those, we would love people to use them, right?
Of course.
Would be nice. Yeah. And just had a thought. It will be back. Okay, continue the story.
No problem. That's life.
It will be back.
Yeah, maybe I talked too long.
No, it's fine. I had a thought.
So how can you tell us a little bit more? So how do you incorporate that, and how can you, what can you do in your design to?
Yes. So, well, we have different form of disabilities, right? So we're not here talking about. So when it comes to reports, we usually talk or think about people with visual impairments, right? This would be the first and obvious things when it comes to reports. But there are people with different forms of disabilities who still might use our reports, like cognitive or cognition or mobility, right? So this is also a huge part of accessibility and making reports more inclusive. So one obvious thing would be, you know, let's think about colors. Let's think about how people might perceive colors. So if we think about I don't know, red and green, which is kind of the most obvious thing when we see reports, right? So we love, especially if it's financials, we love putting red and green everywhere, and we don't really think how people might see those colors, right? Because there are people who live with color blindness, and what red and green to us is, they would see something like this, like what we can see here on the other side of this image. And those things are not obvious, right? So you can never tell if a person has color blindness or vision impairments, right? So yeah, usually if people wear glasses, they might have some visual impairments, but that doesn't tell us anything about color blindness. And now people usually also think, but if it's just one person who has color blindness, we really need to, you know, put effort here and change things.
Unless it's the CEO, then people always said when I was a consultant. Then you should take it into account. Yeah.
Yeah. And I always tell, if I get that argument, like, okay, but is your like workforce always going to be exactly the same? Do you have plans to grow? There will be new people. I don't think it's a good reason to reject someone because you're colorblind, so you cannot read our report.
Of course not. No.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
No.
So, I mean, when we think, I would say it always matters, right? Even if we can change the life of just one person, I believe it's worth to try and make it work.
Yeah.
But also, as Lonneke said, like, we can never be sure who joins later. You know, reports get used for years and so on. It's better to be, you know, future-proof and colorblind proof, I would say.
Was there a specific reason, Elena, for you to focus on this topic? Is it something you experienced, or what was for you the driver to make people aware of this?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. But actually, no, I don't have. I haven't experienced it myself. This was basically when I was learning about user experience design. Is something that I thought about. I mean, I learned about, and I realized we need to think about those things and take them into consideration. But the thing is, when we think about those things and we create things more accessible, we are actually improving the experience for every person. And even for me, even when I see, you know, red and green everywhere, it's somehow too much sometimes. I don't know if you get the same feeling. It's, you know, this cognitive overload a bit. So I'm always saying, like, do we really need to emphasize both? Maybe we can find other ways to pinpoint either one of them, or find other, either change both colors or maybe just emphasize one, right? So sometimes it's just too much, and the idea is when we think about those things, we are actually improving yours and mine and everyone's experience all together. And funny, Jeroen, that you mentioned the CEO, because as you know, accessibility, oh my God, I haven't slept much. Color blindness wasn't made equal. And in the world, there are around 300 million people with color blindness, but it is, as we said, it's not made equal, right? So 1 in 200 women have color blindness, while for men, it's
so few.
So for women, it would be less than 1%. And for men, it would be as high as 8 or even more. Now, this is in the Western world, right? And the thing is, in tech, and we are in tech, it's a male-dominated industry, right? So the chances that we encounter men here are higher, and even in C-level positions, as you mentioned, the CEO, right? So even C-level positions or CEOs are positions that are mostly occupied by males. So the thing is, the chances are that people who make decisions, or who are supposed to make informed decisions, chances are they cannot really see and tell those colors apart. So this is one huge argument why I'm actually advocating for this.
So color is one, but are there more things that you have to include for accessibility?
Okay, so I was thinking of maybe just touching on one point when it comes to color, and I'll switch over to other things as well.
No problem.
Yes, so for example, having good enough contrast, I mean, still around colors, right? So there are accessibility guidelines from the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, and they say that we should use 4.5 to 1 text to background color contrast ratio, and this is for small text, so this is for 17 points and lower. And I would say most of the reports for sure have text that is that small, so that's why I use this as a rule. But just a disclaimer, it's not for every size, right? So it can be 3:1 if it's like very large text and graphics. I'm not saying you should always have this this contrast.
And what does it exactly mean then, this number? What does it...
Yes, so very good that you asked that, because always when I start talking about this and people might wonder, like, what is this? How do you...
how
do you determine this? Yeah.
Yes, so the thing is, there are so many tools out there that help you calculate this. Well, it's maths because light is frequency, right? So, but we won't go into these details, but I'm going to share this website example with you. So if we use something like Adobe Color, and yeah, Lonneke, if you can put that in the chat maybe for people.
Yeah, I will share the link.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. So if we use this kind of websites or tools where we can just calculate this this contrast for us, we can see that we have this contrast ratio. Like, this is really high contrast ratio, right? It's 8:1 text to background. So we can put our hex codes over here, like the text and the background, and we can actually calculate this. And we can see here the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines level AA. This is completely enough. So those are actually guidelines that people use for web accessibility. But for reports, I would say we're using this standard as well, not only because for lack of better standard, but also because the experience is kind of very similar, right? So we have reports that are viewed on a website. We have reports that are viewed on a mobile phone. So these guidelines actually cover that experience.
And do you also take the type of font into account that you want to use, or is it just not related to your font type? Because there are quite some differences, of course.
Yes, so I definitely think about fonts. Sometimes I say I'm a font nerd. And yeah, I'm gonna talk a bit later. So maybe it's a good point to have that over here. Like, since we're discussing text, to have you know, of course there are different types of fonts, and we perceive them in a different way. Some fonts are more readable than others. And some fonts, like if we have some fancy fonts, you know, if we want to put make them interesting, or if we want to go crazy with the design, but we are not, like, when we are creating something more fancy, we actually don't make that good of experience for people who might struggle reading, or people who have this, maybe even as a foreign language, but also people who have dyslexia or ADHD. So anything that might be cluttering the design and adding confusion, you know, might bring more cognitive overload, and we want to avoid that, right? Because we want our users to be happy when they're using our reports. We don't want them to struggle.
I always tell the participants in my courses and sessions that this cognitive load that you bring with your dashboard, people always have a limited cognitive capacity. And some people have more limitations and others less limitations. But we're all limited, and you want to be respectful with that cognitive capacity. So you want to use the cognitive capacity in the best way possible. Like, okay, how does this influence my work today? What am I going to do? What are my decisions that I'll take? And you don't want people to be searching for, how can I read this? What does this color mean? This line, where in the legend can I find it? Because I don't know what it is. So that's the wrong type of cognitive use. I think that's disrespectful.
Yeah, great point for bringing the legends and stuff. You know, because when we don't have a problem, we don't think about it, right? So for us, it's very obvious. You know, we can see colors, let's put them, and you have the legend, and then you kind of rely on people understanding the colors and using the legend in the order that we attended as designers or dashboard designers, right? But not everyone can understand that. And, you know, accessibility and empathic design actually means that we want to think about our users, right? We want to think about the context in which they're using it, about their backgrounds, even cultural backgrounds, right? So we want to have an understanding, or as much as we can, I don't want to say complete understanding of our users, but by thinking about those things, where might they struggle?
And I like this tool that you shared from Adobe. The link is in the screen again.
Yeah,
because I myself, I'm one of these red persons.
1 of 8. You're 1 of 8.
One of the happy few. I'm colorblind, so I can test myself for a certain extent. Oh yeah, this is readable, this not. But you have 20 different types of colorblindness, of course. But I think it helps if you have tools that can help you quantify, like this contrast. I like it. Okay, it needs to be above 4.5. Let's test it for the dashboard and test some other things with regards to color usage. What are the most common color blindness? And I'm thinking, would it work in AI nowadays to just put a screenshot there and say, test this for the most common visible impairment types that you can have with regards to contrast colors and other things, and give me a suggestion how it can improve? Because then you can quantify it. You can review it in a way that other people's you cannot test it for everyone.
Yeah. So if I go just back in this tool, actually, it's not completely what you were saying, but in the Adobe Color, in the accessibility tools pane tab, we can actually see how these colors. So this is the color wheel. We have colors around that we have picked, and we can, if we scroll further down, we can see how these colors will be perceived by people with color blindness. Now, Jeroen, I don't know, like, I didn't know that you have color blindness.
Yeah, no, a little bit. Yeah, not for everything. Some colors. So for me, for example, dark green and red are quite similar. So light green I can see, but dark green I cannot see. I don't know what's in the middle, the protanopia, what the color is in the middle. I have no idea. It's brown or green or red. I have no idea.
So this is the same. Yeah, we see it as red. But it's good that we can also see how you might see it.
Yeah, nice.
And when I first put, I think it was like one of my first reports when I put it in this just to see the colors, and I was like, oh my God, people cannot see anything.
Yeah.
But
some people only see gray. That's
I think there are also other websites where you can check those things. Now I don't have anything on top of mind to share, but to put a screenshot and just see how it looks. A good approach for me is to also test in grayscale, so to see if we still can have if you can still see distinction between colors, have good enough contrast and stuff. But thanks for telling me that you have color blindness. Maybe I can sending you reports.
I can test it. And Marjolein, because you're talking about blind, and Marjolein earlier in this session also put a comment in. You had a discussion together. If you have very low sight, would it be possible then to have alternative text, say, telling the story of those graphics if you can't really see it? Is that something you do maybe? And if so, how do you do that?
That's an interesting point. Yeah. So of course, alt text is one of the things that you can do for people who have complete or partial blindness. So Power BI is works with screen readers. You don't need to turn on any feature on. It just works automatically. But what you should do on your side is go to every visual and add that alternative text. And I'm very happy that, they have, like as Marjolein mentioned, that there are discussions around this. And I know Marjolein lately is talking about accessibility as well. I say we cannot talk enough about these things, right? So there is, now I think I don't have it here in my slides, but how you can add alt text in Power BI is you can go to the, you can click on a visual properties and you can find alternative text. The thing is, you can put something static in there, like this is a bar chart showing the sales difference from this year and last year, or the selected years. The thing is, screen readers usually, and why we need to add this alt text actually to understand the importance of it, is that usually screen readers, when they read through a report, they would just go through the type of visual, the title, and the alternative text. So they don't really have any insight into what you actually are showing there. So if you want the user who uses Power BI and uses a screen reader to understand what you have or what's the insight in that visual, is that you need to put some text in the alternative text. And it's very tricky, because if you write something like the month with best sales was or is September, and then comes November and they beat the sales in September, that text is going to stay static. So you either need to go back and adapt that and do that. You know, it's very...
Yeah, but I'm also thinking about something else, because AI is everywhere nowadays, and I think this is also a great use case for AI. And because, for example, you have, I will put a link in the screen now. You have this website, aistudio.google.com, where you can share your screen, and then let someone, you can just ask via voice, what do you see on the dashboard? And then it will give, most probably, explanation. Oh, I see that the December month has increased with this, and these are the values shown there, and the most important product is this.
Are you familiar with this tool, Elena?
I'm not, but I was about to say that it would be cool. Like, I see it as a great use case for Copilot, to have that Copilot feature in Power BI.
Copilot, but there are different AI solutions indeed. Yeah.
So, and to write, instead of us writing those dynamic alt text and those measures index, probably, you know, if we make it easier, then it's better to add that.
I think it's quite impressive what it can nowadays, and Copilot is of course also a nice.
Because writing your entire DAX measures, it's a lot, and
it's a lot. I agree, and that's why people don't do it, but also people don't even know it or care about it. So I feel like the first thing is awareness, knowing that this is good to have, and we should be inclusive. You know, even if it's just one person. To be honest, if we need to make it, even if we don't have a user.
And Elena, have you ever? Well, it sounds a bit weird to say have you ever, but do you sometimes speak with people who are actually dependent on things like alt text and using dashboards? Or because I honestly don't know anyone who does, but maybe there's like a selection bias that people who have to work with dashboards, or people who have these impairments, don't take the jobs in which they are so dependent on visual cues.
I haven't directly spoken to people who do that, but I know of people, so friends and family of my friends who do. So I think it's still, you know, there are people who use it. So the thing is, to improve the experience for those people, or why not be inclusive, right? So if we have someone,
I totally agree,
loves to use it and create it, you know, or to use reports in their work, but they're just have serious visual impairments, I think, you know, why should we not be inclusive? Like, if we can change their life, if we can let them do something that they love doing, I feel like it's our responsibility to do it.
It's interesting. I think you should. I would be curious to also hear their view on what helps, and nice.
I recently went to a museum for not for blind people, but about being blind, like totally blind.
Right.
And it was like an experience museum. So you got the walking stick, and you went into a completely dark area, and you had a guide who was actually blind.
Wow.
And you really are going to investigate the entire environment. And now you're in his living room, and I felt, hey, you have a TV, you have a computer here. How do you work with it? So we got to have a lot of conversations with this blind person to see how it worked for him. It was very interesting. He also had an app like on his phone that was syncing with the TV shows, or even going to a movie theater to watch a film, and he could just listen, and it was not only listening to the people talking on the screen, but really the description of someone walks in with an angry face. Oh, he draws a gun out of his pocket. What happens? You know, so it's really the entire story is being told.
How long did you do this experience then, Lonneke? How long did it?
I think it was 1.5 hours.
Wow,
he also went to a bar and ordered a drink and had to pay and everything.
And you were completely blind also?
Yes. Yeah, it was just a completely dark room. You were not even allowed to wear like an analog watch or anything, because that would already give some...
Wow. And did you sense... that's interesting.
Completely dark.
It's a little bit of the... it's on topic, but I'm curious to hear more about it. Did you experience in this 1.5 hours that your perception changed, that you adjusted yourself, or was it too short?
Well, the weird thing was that your brain is going to fill in the gaps.
All right.
So you're going to get these like flashes or something and seeing dots, or you're going to... Your brain is just so used to input, visual input, that if it's all taken away, you're just getting other things. And of course, you would have to learn to work with that. Yeah, it was a really cool experience. Yeah, definitely can recommend. Yeah. Back to Elena. Sorry.
Exactly.
All good. I love this detour.
Do you have? Shall I get your screen? Do you have other examples, Elena, that you want to go through?
Yes. So I wanted to touch a bit more on. No, I mean. Wait a sec. On the cognition. So I think did I not put it? Yeah. So cognition is also something that we cannot really know about a person, right? So we all have our internal worlds. We all have our brains and how they work. So it's kind of different for everyone. And actually, the number of people who have some cognition disabilities, or let's say different abilities, is also very huge. And I mean, here I'm talking about also people who have ADHD or who have OCD, or so obsessive compulsive disorder and attention deficit disorder, and for people who maybe even are autistic. So the thing is, when a brain with ADHD looks at something like this, they're super overwhelmed. Also, probably autistic people, right? So
and me. I'm overwhelmed as well.
I'm overwhelmed, right? So like, what is this? We don't really know where to look at, right? So Lonneke, it's kind of OCD. I don't say it's more or less aligned. It could be worse, right?
It could definitely be worse.
But I also have like this form of small OCD, right? So I want things to be aligned, but yet it's still, when I look at something like this, I also don't know where to look. And when we put and cram this information, and just because there's a bit more white space and we can put this one more KPI, we are thinking that we are adding more value. And the thing is, we don't. When everything is important, nothing becomes important. So we don't know where to look. We don't know what's important. We don't know, what's the first thing that's actually needs our attention, right? So the best approach in this here is less is more, right? So thinking about what we can do here. So I really love this this design principle. It's my favorite one, I think. So if there's maybe one thing, if you ask me if there's one thing around design that you would recommend, is less is more. And this is thinking about everything, right? So thinking first about, are there any visuals that we can actually get rid of here? Like, do we really need to put all those visuals? So thinking about how we can introduce more white space, because when we put more white space, we give the brain a bit of, bit of a break. Our eyes, have this space and they can concentrate on the next thing. So to have this, we need to have like clean designs. We don't want unnecessary distractions and so on. And this is not only, people who have cognition impairments, right? This is also for us. It's gonna improve our lives as well if we know where to look at. If we look at something that's, a clean design, well organized, we know immediately what are the 3 things that are most important on the first glance, right? So when we are incorporating those principles, we are actually improving the experience for everyone. So thinking about how you can introduce that space. And usually people come and say, oh, but this is really important. We need to have this KPI over there. And most of the time, probably they just want to have it there. I don't know, Lonneke, has this ever happened to you with your clients?
Yeah, they need everything, because everything is really important.
Yeah.
What I try is to find the layers of importance, and not only layers of design, but also like, okay, but in what order are things important to you? So maybe we can create deep dives, or is everything always at the same time necessary? Just keep it calm.
I was about to say the same thing. So probably not always we need everything on one glance. Usually, so we want to think how we can introduce that space here. And it's either by removing things altogether from the report, or trying to find ways how we can separate that information, having it on a different page, or maybe having visual switch, right? Or avoid that table on an overview page and put it, hide it somewhere. Add a drill through to that table, or make a switch, show one visual line chart, very clean, and then if people want to see a table, they can click a button and then they can see a table. Now Power BI is really good when it comes to this, so if people want to see the table behind, they can still do that. This is kind of an accessibility approach in Power BI, but I would always suggest maybe building that table in Power BI and making it look good and still there and not in that focused view. Getting rid of unnecessary stuff and trying to separate that information and try to organize it. I think if we can somehow switch those things in different tabs and so on, and have that overview and then middle, then details, how we drill down to the next level. Probably we don't always need to see everything at once.
Now, why is that certain statements, like you have to have a dashboard that shows you everything at a glance, in one glance, whatever, that it is such a, the old people want to adhere to that, while it's not always a good idea.
I think because they were building their own things in Excel, and they just well, if you are working in a specific job for a long time and you have your one report that you built yourself, you just keep on adding every time something new comes up, or you think, oh, this might also be interesting, but you never take the old things away. So you just build it more better, and then at some point we decide, now we need Power BI. Oh, this is the information that I use. Can you rebuild this in Power BI without re-evaluating what's actually there?
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Elena, I do have, I know my question again from the beginning.
Oh,
okay.
And I think because, well, we're quite far in our time, and I'm really interested in this because the world of BI is huge. We have a lot of people developing dashboards, designing dashboards. And also in this group of people designing dashboards, you have people with different impairments. And then I'm not talking about the physical impairments, like the visual, but more the cognitive ones, the ADHD, the autism. Do you think, and I'm specifically triggered by the work Empathic Design, sometimes the part of being empathic is actually impaired. Can those people be a good designer? Or maybe they can even be better designers because they know how hard it can be. So it's but can they pay enough attention to their end use? What are your thoughts? I'm just struggling here.
Oh, wow. I love that question. I love it. I feel like I haven't slept enough these days for this, but I'm gonna try and answer that. And I think it's amazing, and probably I'm gonna deep dive a bit more into that. What those people can do is, maybe try to follow certain questions that can help them understand the user. So try to use some form of like guided exploration phase, and in picking up those requirements where it doesn't really need. It's tough because I think I
you need some guidelines or rules that you can follow, and then you
So think about or try to find questions, and I promise I'll work on that to create guided conversation, how they can figure out what their users want. So try to understand, in order to try to understand the users. So are they tech savvy? Do they have any cultural thinking? Like try to just use those questions without really needing to have that empathy. The thing is, while you're creating that, like while you're using those questions, a lot of things, at least in my experience so far, when I'm trying to gather the user requirements from my clients, is that usually a lot of things are unsaid. And a lot of times people don't really know what they want. And a lot of times is, people just struggling without realizing that they're struggling. So when you are doing those interviews and doing the research, you're also picking up a lot of things that the actual user does not say out loud. So one approach would be to use questions. And also I'm going to go back to that initial idea of using AI. So you can just ask ChatGPT or another AI, like like try to share what you've gathered so far, and try to share and just ask ChatGPT, hey, are there any other things that we need to consider? Like from empathy point of view, maybe these users could have other challenges that we are not aware of. Do you have any ideas?
But what I think Lonneke is also referring to, if you have, for example, you need really structure or easy to read dashboards, it's beneficial for everyone. We came back to that a couple of times during this session also. Okay, we do it for accessibility, but it makes sense for everyone. So if someone is very keen on having that, that they really need that, then maybe they are indeed relatively good designers also.
Yeah, but I think the OCD part, like Elena and I, we are both saying we have some slight OCDs. Me as well. I always tell people I have alignment OCD. I get very itchy if things are not aligned. I think that's something like this is also just being so like super detailed in what you want to do. And that's actually a benefit for designing dashboards.
Yeah, maybe.
So I think it can really work in two ways.
Yeah. But I also have to think about this stand-up comedian who is autistic, and then when you have certain assumptions, okay, you're autistic, so you're very good at, and then he mentions the Rain Man examples. If I drop this number of matchsticks, you can right away count how much it is. No, so maybe we shouldn't assume also too fast. Okay, if you have this, you're very good at this, because it depends on the person. How to think about a stand-up comedian.
Basic principles, just follow them, and structure, layout, color palettes that work well together. And less is more, really, when in doubt.
Nice.
Nice.
Thank you very much, Elena. Unfortunately, our time is up, but it was great having you here, and I'm very happy that you made it just in time. So you were able to raise this important topic, and hopefully it made some people aware that they hopefully take this a little bit more into account than before the session. So I think it's a great topic to focus on also. And good luck with all the sessions you're gonna do. Also,
What's your next one, Elena? What's the next conference you're going to?
Oh, next one is FIPCon Vegas.
Ooh, nice.
Wow. Okay, when is that?
Coming up end of March, beginning of April. So 30,
okay.
30
Nice.
yeah.
Now we'll see the pictures and the posts coming from Vegas then. So
enjoy it.
Yeah, nice.
Thank you for having me, and thank you so much for everyone joining. I can see the comments, so I really appreciate that.
People are thanking you. So Mark is thanking you, and Peter really liked it.
I actually found it quite late, so I'm sorry I missed the beginning of it and when people joined. But yeah, thank you so much. And
thank you. Also, let us say goodbye to everyone. So next week we are back with Get Response Live, and we also raised a couple of times AI. And next week we're gonna be talking about AI, and we have Nathan, who's founder of a tool in Belgium called Wobby. I like that name. He can explain what it stands for, but which you can do on your own data analysis reporting on AI, also using Microsoft technology, by the way. So interesting if you want to see maybe the next generation of doing data analysis, how AI can help, and how this startup is working on it, and they just raised a lot of money, so he can explain how they do that. So that's next week, and thank you again for everyone for watching, and maybe see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Lonneke and Elena. Bye. Bye.